this is what I want to go over here today is how to go from thinking like a car salesman to a business owner. This is a huge perspective shift. And quite frankly, I notice it in a lot, like basically everyone, right? Everyone has this to some extent, but the ones that I've seen at least go in and just have been able to consistently put up the numbers and the results that they're looking to do is just from this perspective shift. So let's see. I actually have it written down here. Okay. So essentially, one of the biggest concepts that you have to understand when going from thinking about, being a salesman to becoming a business owner is just understanding the opportunity vehicle that you've been presented in car sales, right? Quite frankly, again, a lot of people understand that you're technically a business within a business, but you do have the opportunity to create financial freedom like you never imagined, essentially, right? Because you are your own business. The sky's the limit. You're basically the only limit in your business. So you have the chance to really build up generational wealth and abundance if you play your cards right. It's really time to level up. Making less than 10K a month is absolutely unacceptable. You literally have the choice to be mediocre, and the choice is completely yours, right? So one of the biggest things you need to fix is your mindset before you can start getting the results. And the biggest thing that defines the successful from the failure are the ways that they perceive the world and the actions that they take. Everything starts with your mindset because your identity creates your actions reinforce your identity, and so on. So you have to change the way that you perceive yourself, the way that you think about yourself in order to get different results, right? Because you got to change your actions will change the results. And so typically what I see with like the salesman mindset, and this is kind of what I want you guys to be aware of to break. And if you guys have any of these things, it's something that we need to shift out of. Okay. So a lot of the time, as a salesman, when you're on the sales floor, it's easy to be reactive. And when I say reactive, right, that's waiting for the next phone pop, internet lead, waiting for the next sale to fall into your lap, right? It's not being, it's not going out of your way to go ahead and, take action because essentially you're waiting for things to change in management, like, oh, maybe they'll spend more money on marketing this month, or the market's just adjusting, it's kind of slow, it's January, whatever, or it's just the dealership that I'm at. It's really not, right? Like you can't just wait for management to change or management to start liking you, or the market to shift in any which way or direction, right? This is something that you have to completely throw out the window. And if you're not taking precedent for what you want, you have to change that to become more of a proactive approach, right? So on the other side of this is being proactive. So essentially going to take what's yours. That's one of my favorite ideas and concepts. Everything out there is for you for the taking. You just have to go out there and get it, right? So actively thinking about how can I get in more sales, and not being afraid to put in work, because basically with everything we're giving you here, we have the strategies to literally fill up every single second with active prospecting. Every single second. There shouldn't be a minute like even wasted, because we have the tools. It's just getting out of our own way to go ahead and do it. The second thing here, this is so big in sales. Even I fall into this sometimes and I catch myself doing it, even like still at this point, right? Even though like I have an abundance mindset 99% of the time. But it's a scarcity mindset, right? Scarcity is what kills a lot of people. Like, oh, there's not enough leads. Oh, there's not enough cars to sell, or like this month isn't gonna go well. Oh, there's not enough money to be made, right? That's something that we have to force ourselves to get out of, because the scarcity mindset is honestly very toxic, and it's the one thing that can hold people back, right? And like for me, for a while too, I'll kind of just tell a story. Is like one of my mentors was telling me like, "Hey TJ, like you need to spend like a few $1,000s this month on advertising." And at the time, I was like, "Holy shit! Like, what do you mean few $1,000, bro? Like that's a lot of money. Like I've never even like that's like that's a decent amount of money." Um, and that's operating from a scarcity mindset. And when he told me, he's like, bro, like you just have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to understand that money is abundant. And he was just showing me his phone. He was like, dude, I spent 20 racks this month on advertising. And I was like, okay, shit. Well, I'm playing small then, right? So like, what is 3K? So quite frankly, this is a lot of the ideas and concepts that I want to help us think through, because I mean, it's easy to think from a scarcity mindset, and easy to think that, oh, I'm not, like, there's not enough money. What if I don't make, my rent this month? Or what if I don't pay my bills? Or like, what if I don't have enough for groceries, etc. But if you're playing not to lose, then you're playing not to win. Because if you're always constantly focusing on just, oh, am I gonna make just enough? Like, that's the wrong way to be thinking about it. That's the wrong perspective, because when you think about it that way, you're always just going to shoot for the bare minimum, which is your lowest standard. And quite frankly, you always fall to your lowest standards. So that's where you really have to go ahead and raise your standard and shift from scarcity to abundance, right? So there will always be another customer, right? That's the thing about car sales. Everyone will always buy a car again. It's not just a one-time product that you buy for the rest of your life, right? So that's a good thing. The market always gets renewed, which is awesome. There will always be more cars to sell, right? Because they'll always produce more cars. It'll always be a need. Transportation's an evergreen problem that everyone will always face, especially in America. And then life is how you perceive it. If you have a lot of opportunity, then you have a lot of opportunity. If you think there's a very scarce amount of leads, there's a scarce amount of leads. And quite frankly, like, it's weird and it's hard to understand. But again, it is like, whatever you believe is true is true. So you can either choose to be abundant, or you can either choose to live in a place of scarcity, right? The next one is being short-term focused. And this is what kills a lot of people, right? Also from a sales perspective, I totally get this, because it's so easy to fall into like the day-to-day. Like, well, I didn't get any sales today. Oh, I didn't set any appointments today, right? Or this month is going bad, right? Your time frame needs to change. Your time horizons really need to expand, right? Because it's so easy to focus on the immediate gratification of making sales. And because quite frankly, like, sales is one of those huge dopamine dump, like, things to do. Once you hit a sale, like, there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? But that is you got to shift out of that perspective, because you can't always just be chasing the next sale. You can't always just be thinking from that point of view. You got to think about things on a mindset of literal, like, years and decades. Because if you really want to make a career out of car sales, you shouldn't be thinking about timeframes in just months. You should literally be thinking about things in years and decades. Because if you're going to build a business in car sales, you have to think about the longevity of what you're doing here, right? So when we talk about those whole ideas of developing your following, developing your, like, your attention share in the market, right? Those are things that are more long term that you have to think about, instead of, okay, does it immediately reflect in this month's numbers, right? And we're super prone and programmed to want the fast wins, which I want to give everybody. But quite frankly, this is the hard work that needs to happen, which is you literally competing for all the attention in the marketplace. That takes a while, and that takes a skill set, and it takes a while to learn this stuff. So think about it more in terms of, a long-term perspective, rather than focusing on the short-term gratification, right? A victim mentality. This is something that you need to get rid of too if you find yourself blaming others. Extreme ownership is essentially what you need to have. You should have accountability for basically your entire reality. And I don't even mean this just in car sales. You should, all your relationships, the people around you, the money that you have in your bank account, your physical shape, the way that you look, the way that you carry yourself, all those things you should be taking into account for, who you are. And if you don't like it, then you have the opportunity to change it. But if you're in a victim mentality, things happen to you rather than for you. Right? So when you think about things like that, it's like, oh, like this guy didn't come in today, like, I didn't get my appointments done, I didn't make my sales, like, this sucks. Rather than being like, okay, what can I do in order to book in another appointment today, get another lead, put up more numbers, etc. Right? Um, if you find yourself being problem oriented, stop looking for how you can't do something, right? When you find things that you can't do, like, that puts you in a hole, right? Oh, I can't get myself on the camera. Oh, I can't get my videos out there. I can't look good on camera. Those are false beliefs that are going to hold you back. Absolutely. Also, another pick me mentality, I'm special mentality. This is something that will get on my nerves, and like this is what I'm going to tell to anyone that ever tells me, TJ, well, my dealership is this way, or I have this type of inventory, or I go after this customer. How would this work for me? If this has worked for other car salesmen, and as you guys have seen in this program, as you guys have just seen being around here, nobody's special. Everybody sells basically the same product. It's a car at the end of the day. It's a metal on some wheels, right? Every audience is basically the same. People have bought and sold the same way since Jesus wore shorts, right? So, like, you guys understand that you guys aren't special. Not in a snowflake way, but you guys aren't special in the way that you guys run business. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, also, blaming the dealership, and then this one too, quick to quit when things don't work. Don't don't get frustrated when things don't work or go your way. You have to think about things from a problem solution oriented mindset, right? Because when you take extreme ownership, everything has a solution. You control exactly what happens on your day-to-day basis. Everything that you do in terms of, your actions, because that's all you can control, and how you react to what does happen, right? And then being able to think about a solution to all your problems and knowing that you can fix anything and you're willing to do whatever it takes. This is something that I want to help you guys develop, is literally being able, like, in terms of wanting to do and being able to do whatever it takes. Like, essentially, helping you guys break past any limiting beliefs, right? Getting yourself out of your own way, being comfortable with putting yourself on camera and not being afraid to say hey and have people see you. I know it's scary and it's uncomfortable, but you have to take extreme ownership over your career and the business and the skill set that you're building, right? Can any of you guys relate to any of these so far? Do you guys find yourself falling into any of these, or have found yourself falling into any of these tropes so far?
I've literally been in about a month long like funk, you know,
Mhm.
and this is a perfect call to be on because all these things that you're like, you can't be doing this, don't do this, this isn't good for you. Like these are the thoughts that have been running through my head for the past month. So
Right.
like being solution driven, taking a deep breath, realizing like you're not special, nobody's special. Yeah, times might be tough because every January in the car business is a little difficult, but we just got to go get the next lead. We got to get the next deal. We got to get the next blah blah blah. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's definitely useful.
Okay, that's good. So basically this does feel quite accurate right now, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it does.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you feel yourself falling into any of these tropes so far? Because they're common. That, like, literally everybody falls into them. I wouldn't feel bad if you relate to them at all, because I relate to them too. That's why I wrote about it.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to think about
Yeah.
it when you're, especially in a sales slump, um, or like it's slow or things aren't going your way. It's so easy to fall back into these mentalities, right? Um, but as long as you guys can differentiate from what to avoid, and you can catch yourself and be conscious of, oh, I'm thinking like this right now, so that you
Mm-hmm.
catch yourself to shift to where you need to be at. Because quite frankly, there is the higher self, and this is more of the more deep inner work that I'm going to make a training on in the future, is just how to identify like your higher self and like the character traits, thoughts, the beliefs and the skill sets that you have, so that you can act from as if you were. It sounds super woo woo, but once you guys watch the module and like I explain everything, it'll make some sense. Um, Strategy obsessed. Okay. This is something that I want to help you guys get out of, and I'm partially to blame for this because I've been super strategy obsessed for you guys, right? Um I there is no magic pill, right? Like usually you fall into the trope of, oh, there must be a magic pill, there must be a magic ad, there must be a magic ad copy, there must be a magic post, there must be a magic, video I can take, there might be a magical way to edit my videos so that this can blow up, right? Um this is not looking at the big picture as how to build a business, but why things work versus how things work. So this again, at the end of the day, is focusing on the principle. So I want us to be more focused here. The strategies, all of them work, but we have to focus on the principle as to why things work, right? Because once you understand that, things take reps and volume, like Jay, we were talking about earlier about like your marketplace post, bro, like that's 90% of the game, reps and volume. And like, guess what? When you guys start making content, like Gage for your content, bro, same thing, just literally reps and volume. Because like
Right.
you go into the gym, it like with the magic pill idea, right? It's like, oh, how to get 6-pack abs in like 5 minutes. That's all that stuff is fugazi, right? It's
Hmm.
snake oil. So when we focus on the principle of, okay, well, working out is just basically lifting heavy stuff, doing that every day, and just eating a good diet, healthy foods, right?
Right.
It's so simple, but we forget about that at the end of the day, right? So it's the same thing with our business. It just takes reps, volume, and time. Like those are the three equations to success: reps, volume, and time. That's with everything. You can put that in every single strategy that we have. So for posting content, reps, volume, time. That's what's going to help you build an audience. With paid ads, right? When it comes to building your audience, reps is just a bunch of different ads. Volume is just going to be spend, right? That's just the reality of it. And then time for you to build up the audience, get better at it, for you to get better at paid ads in that strategy, right? Marketplace, reps, volume, consistency. The better you get at marketplace, the better you know how to handle the leads. The more leads you've handled, the better you get at making sales. You guys should have seen David when he started out here. Like he fell into a lot of these same tropes, and we're still working through a lot of them. But over time, like dude, he wasn't getting 300,000 views per video when we were first starting out. He was barely even
Right.
getting 100. But literally over for the past, like, I'm telling you, like 9 months probably of him just being consistent, of posting multiple videos every single week, he's finally built something. That didn't come overnight, right? And I didn't showcase it for no reason. It literally took him time, effort, and sweat equity, right? So
Hmm.
when we focus on that whole idea of the principle, it really alleviates a lot of the stress, because a lot of times it's easy even for me to be like, oh well shit, why is the strategy not working? But then
Hmm.
we have to focus back on the principle, right? And sometimes it's easy for me to want to, because I personally am a big strategy guy. I mean, obviously, as you guys can tell from learning from the course and the material, but I need to shift over more into the principle, because once I learned the principle, the strategy started to make sense. And like I was like, okay, well, I mean, this is just part of the game. And the part of the game is just time, volume, and reps. So that was understanding that whole concept. So yeah, focusing on on why the strategies work and the how will make sense. So when we understand the fundamentals of marketing, everything else makes sense in the program. Oh, okay, this is why I do post. Oh, okay, this is why I DM people. Oh, okay, this is why, I run paid ads. Oh, okay, this is why we do XYZ, right? Uh,
Right.
and then we have to keep the idea of that, since everyone else, there's been other people that have proven our concepts. It has worked, it can work, and it will work as long as you focus on the principle, right? Don't get lost in the sauce. Don't get lost in the bells and whistles of everything that we have. Just focus on the principle, because the principle will pull you through. Let's see. Being emotional and not logical about sales. This is hard to do. This is super hard to do. But guys, I'm going to reinforce this whole idea. Sales is a very emotional thing. Like you guys are talking to emotions all freaking day. it's an emotional process. Sales is an emotional process, and it's hard to not put your own emotions into your own work on a day-to-day basis. Quite frankly, it's hard to get not attached to a sale. It's hard to not put yourself into, your micro perspective of the day or the week or the month, right? It's hard to not feel emotional. But quite frankly, the more you drill on the logical side of things, right? Don't draw conclusions because you think something's not working, right? Everything is based off of data and numbers. Once you strip out the emotions and everything, business is very cold-hearted and analytical. It's just numbers in and numbers out. Like your emotions don't matter to the marketplace, and it doesn't matter how you feel. Like it just cares about the fact that you're putting out content. It cares that you're contacting people and you're starting conversations. It literally does not care how you feel that day or how your month's going. Like people are gonna keep buying cars, so take your emotions out of it, right? So when you're not looking at the big picture of what you're doing and focusing on the immediate, it's so easy again, like to get sucked into the day to day, and that's why staying long term focused and just looking at your trajectory rather than velocity at any given point in time is the right perspective to pull yourself out from. So if you ever feel yourself getting drawn into the micro perspective of the day to day, pull yourself up, look at what you're doing and being like, well, there's no other sales guy at my dealership that's doing this. There's no other sales guy even in my city that knows how to do this. So then when you look at the macro perspective of where you're going to be at the end of this 12 months, then you're like, okay, holy shit, like we're making big progress. Excuse my French, but you can just look at the whole macro perspective and take the emotion out of it, right? Because that's how you can kind of check yourself as long as don't get too caught up into, the day to day. Because it's a very vicious cycle, right? I mean, raise your hand if you've been in a sales slump. I've been in it. That was literally like me earlier this month, right? So it's so easy to get in on yourself and just like beat yourself up when those things happen, right? So that's when the negative talk comes in, but you have to be able to check yourself and pull yourself out of it, right? And then focus on the long-term vision. Okay, let me just keep staying consistent with the process, believing in it, and it'll pay its merit, right? Also letting your emotions like make you seize up and trigger you not wanting to, um, you know, put in work, reiterate, and improve, right? Because sometimes what I see students hit is like a brick wall where they're like, oh, like I've been trying this for like 2, 3 weeks. Like, what the hell? It hasn't worked. And they're just like, well, fuck this, right? Or like they seize up and they don't want to try anymore. This is where, this is where you hit the wall. But this is where you got to push past things because you always have to be willing to reiterate and improve. It's a working process. Everything's a working process, right? But don't be emotional about your sales. Be very logical. It's a logical game. The more logical people win. Oh, this is huge, bro. All right, guys. I know this is so big at the dealership because it's so easy to get sucked into this.
Okay.
But the thing is getting out of your own way and avoiding groupie mentality. Groupie mentality is so lethal at the dealership, bro. It's so lethal. Everyone, you have your buddies, you have your coworkers. Oh, we cannot be around those type of people because quite frankly, you guys are, what I like to call lone wolf, right? You guys are on your guys' own path. You guys are on your own journey. Like you guys are doing things that 90% of other car salesmen won't do. So essentially avoiding groupie mentality is, getting out of your comfort zone, right? Because a lot of people have false beliefs and have self-doubt in your dealership that is going to project onto you, right? They're going to be like, oh, well, what are you doing? It's going to make them uncomfortable when they see you out on the lot hustling, bro. You know what I mean? So get out of the whole idea of, going of not being of being afraid to go against the grain, right? Because if you keep doing what the other sales reps are doing, you're going to get the same results as those guys. So get yourself out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to, what people will think of you when you're on that lot, taking those videos, taking those photos, etc., building your brand. And even if you're not seeing the immediate results in the beginning, don't get discouraged. Managers can be assholes. Managers can be terrible. You know, there's your coworkers, upper management, people around you can be very negative. You just have to get in that zone and bubble out a lot of the feedback that people are going to give you, right? But I know it's hard to avoid it just because you guys are around those people. It's hard not to give a shit about their opinions. But hey, this is something that you guys have to grow is thick skin and be like, well, I don't give a fuck about like what you guys think. You guys are broke, and I don't want to be one of you guys. Essentially, you kind of have to have an elitist mindset to some extent. Um. So yeah, any questions about the groupie mentality? Do you guys have groupies at your guys' story? Like that's what I call them, the groupies. The people that all hang out and talk shit all day.
Yeah, that's the whole sales force up here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's basically every dealership I've seen, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like it's not like you just need to not act like them because like they like most of the same sales pack. You always see them talking shit. You know, at middle of the day, doing nothing, thumb up their ass. You know, just laughing. And then I'm not saying like you like it's you have to be like a hard ass all the time. I'm just saying like avoid it, you know, and don't let yourself fall into becoming a victim of the groupie mentality. Because it's honestly like when you become a dog and you become like the top dog, it's a little bit unnerving watching people be in the groupie because it's just like
Hmm.
fucking off. And it's just like because they're not, you know, in looking at the big picture, right? They're not being analytical about their sales numbers, right? They're not in an abundance mindset. They're not being proactive, right? They're not staying focused on the principle. They're not taking extreme ownership over their income. They're not, you know, having an unwavering amount of conviction in themselves and their ability because, you know, they're afraid of what they'll other people are going to think for trying hard. And that's something that I think is super toxic in terms of the mindset at a car dealership. A lot of people think grinding is like, haha, look at him running for the up, or like, you know, it's just like shit like that that literally just boggles my mind. So
Yeah.
it's avoiding that. Okay. I know it's a little bit hard, especially when it's your environment, but you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Go against the grain. Fuck those guys. You have a bigger vision. Focus on the vision. Do whatever. Focus on the vision. The vision will literally keep things so crystal clear. It will make sure that all the other nuances, all the other BS, everything else that everybody else is telling you is just that BS, right? They're trying to get you off of it. Honestly, to some extent, that probably makes other people insecure as well, right? The fact that you're
Hmm.
trying so hard, the fact that you have a bigger vision. Like, there's not a lot of people in this business that have a big vision. A lot of people are okay with settling for freaking, you know, 5 to 10K a month. Fuck that. We want to make 30. I want all of you guys to make 30K a month. Like, and we can't have that mentality. That's obviously going to scare a lot of other people and it's going to make other people uncomfortable. But guess what? We think big here, right? It's literally thinking big. This is the whole idea of this whole concept and this whole training is to think big, to stop thinking small. We have to play big. We have the opportunity at our fingertips. It's just realizing that we have it and just capitalizing on it, right? So how does a business affect your life? I want you guys to look at the big picture here too. And let me paint this with you guys again. You guys are all here for a reason. You guys all have personal reasons to want to be here. And I know them, right? I love that you guys share it with me because quite frankly, that's the whole reason why I want to help you guys because you guys have good reasons to improve, right? So what it allows you to do at the end of the day is control your inputs to control your outcome, right? When you learn how you can take control over your mind, you second can control your inputs. And once you control your inputs, you basically control the outcomes in your life, right? So that means controlling your time. Bro, the guy who makes 30 grand a month, you think he's asking for like he has to go and ask for a day off? No. He's just gonna go take it, right? Because he basically runs his own stuff. The management's not gonna ask him like, oh, hey, where's your 30 calls a day? Bro, I put up 30 racks this month. What are you talking about? They're not gonna give you shit for anything, right? Um, control over your growth and your income, right? This is again the whole power of the program is like once you guys are knowing your guys' numbers and your inputs, like this is the whole game changer. This is what's going to give you guys financial freedom. And it's a different level of operation. Nobody at your dealership can even touch you because you're not a sales rep. You're a business owner, right? You're in a different form of operation in a different wavelength. You see things differently in this business, right? So Go big or go home, baby. The only way is getting in your own way. So that's essentially just getting out of your own way, embracing the grind, and change the way that you work and the way that you think, and time to go put in the work that will instill the worth, right? So that's probably one of my favorite quotes. The work instills the worth. So how do you make the change? I'm gonna go further deeper into this. I know we have a hard cutoff time in about 4 minutes. I do have a call coming up, but I'm gonna go over a new training where it's like, how to apply your vision to the day to day, how to think from as if your reality is already true. Because bro, you start walking around different when you already feel like you're operating like you made 30 grand this month. You really do feel different. Like you walk around different, you have a different stride, you have a different pep in your step, you have a different energy, you're tapped into a different wavelength, right? So I'm going to show you guys how to write out a higher version of your guys' self, how to define the best version of your guys' self, and like the vision that you guys are trying to walk to, so that you guys can think from that state of mind when making a decision through your day-to-day life. And as you guys stay consistent and true to that version of yourself on a long enough time horizon, that reality will just become true, right? And this is, quite frankly, again, I can teach you guys all the strategy, but this is really where I promise you guys all the deep work comes from. Like this is literally how you change your life. So super excited for these new trainings in the future. But how do you guys, any feedback on this? Any questions about these concepts?
No, I mean, it sounds like, oh, I read a book before. It's called Think and Grow Rich. A lot of the stuff that you mentioned on here, like, were on that book, which is pretty crazy because it all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these concepts, man, is just like the salesman, the scarcity mindset, like everything I just laid out to you guys are like low frequency ideas. Like in order to get and tap into like the $30,000 per month range and the $20,000 per month range, you simply just have to think differently. That's literally it. Like I don't want to oversimplify it, but you guys have the tools to do it. You guys just have to think about things differently. Because once you guys start thinking about things differently, you guys start acting differently, you guys start feeling differently. That's when the actions create the results in your guys' life. But it all starts up here first, right? There needs to be some reworking here. We need to reform. We need to rehash out how you guys think and how you guys believe things to create that future. Because everyone can have it. And I know all you guys can have it. It's just those small tweaks, staying consistent, trusting the process, believing, right? So
before we close, 2 books that I highly recommend to read on like these topics. Psycho Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, and I'll send these to you guys. That is really good to just psychoanalyze exactly how your thought process are and how they affect your life. That book is fire, and I'll send it to you. And another book that's really good, that it's called Winning, from Tim S. Grover, and he basically just breaks down like the unforgiving the unforgiving race to winning. So it's like how winning doesn't care about if you're feeling good that day, but it'll definitely reward you when you put in the work. So those 2 books I read, and it changed my perspective on so many things. I'll drop it in you guys' chats as well. But yeah, definitely read those.
Actually, I'm gonna drop this training later because like I want people to watch this stuff.
Yeah. I'll drop it in the announcements for you guys.
Yeah. All right, team. Everybody good? Happy? Ready to crush it?
It was good.
Feeling good?
That was good. Hey, TJ, real quick.
Yeah.
I want to prioritize one. I either want to prioritize Facebook or Insta. Which one are you on the team of prioritizing?
Well, the reels, you can do both. Okay. I want you to do both, really. Paid ads is going to be the focus for Instagram, but the organic Facebook ad strategy, like adding friends, messaging people.
Yep.
There's 2 differences for both. So paid ad focus on Instagram will have more of a focus for organic on Facebook, though. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Jay, go post some cards. Gage, go record some videos. Let's go crush it, boys.
Yep.
Yeah, peace.